The stars were cold and endless, stretching forever in the black sky. Two alien girls stood before the high council of their world. The hall was bright with white light, but the air was heavy with judgment. The elder spoke in a voice sharp like metal. "You two have failed your people. You have broken our laws, and for that you will be punished." His eyes were like fire as they looked down at the girls. The first girl, Lyra, kept her head low. Her long silver hair fell across her face, hiding her fear. She was the quiet one. She had never wanted trouble, but trouble had found her. The second girl, Kayla, stood tall. Her golden eyes glowed with defiance. She had fought against the council before, and she would not beg now. She thought punishment was better than living in chains. "You will be sent to the primitive world called Earth," the elder continued. "It is a place of danger, a place where no alien survives. You will live there until the stars themselves forget you." Gasps filled the hall. Exile to Earth was the worst fate. No return, no honor, only shame. Lyra trembled, but Kayla gritted her teeth. "We will survive," Kayla whispered, "even if they want us dead." A flash of white swallowed them, and their world vanished. When their eyes opened again, they were no longer in the grand hall. They were lying on the cold ground of a strange forest. The sky above was painted in dark blue, full of alien stars. The air smelled of wet earth and green leaves. Strange insects sang in the night. It was beautiful, but it was not home. Lyra clutched her arms. "Kayla, we are alone." Her voice was small. Kayla looked around. Her sharp eyes caught movement in the shadows. "Not alone," she said quietly. "Something is watching us." The forest whispered. Every branch, every rustle felt like a warning. Suddenly, glowing eyes appeared in the dark. Low growls echoed. The creatures of Earth had found them. Lyra's heart raced. Her alien gifts were sealed by the council. She could not fight back. "We will die here," she cried. But Kayla stepped forward. She picked up a sharp branch from the ground. Her stance was fearless. "If this is punishment, then let us fight." "It!" she shouted. The beasts circled closer. Their bodies were large, covered with fur. Teeth flashed in the moonlight. The sisters stood back to back, ready for death. Then, a sound cut through the night. A loud whistle, sharp and commanding. The beasts froze. They lowered their heads and backed away into the forest, as if obeying a master's call. From the trees a figure appeared. It was not alien, it was human. Young man stepped into the moonlight. His clothes were rough, his hands carried a wooden stick. His eyes, though, were calm, steady, and curious. He looked at the two girls lying in the dirt, tired, broken, and out of place. "You don't belong here, do you?" he said softly. Kayla narrowed her eyes, ready to fight. "Stay back, human," she warned, but the man did not attack. He did not scream. He only offered his hand. "The forest is not safe at night," he said. "Come with me if you want to. Live." Lyra stared at him in shock. Why would a human help them? They were strangers, outcasts, even enemies. Kayla shook her head. She did not trust him, but the beast's growls still echoed in her ears. The human had saved them with nothing, but his presence, why? Lyra whispered, "Why do you help us?" The man gave a small smile. "Because no one should die alone in the dark." The sisters exchanged a glance. In their world, kindness was rare. On Earth, punishment was supposed to mean suffering. Yet, here was a human offering hope. Still, doubt filled their hearts. Was this a trap? Was he a hunter? Or was he truly different? The night was long, the shadows deep. The sisters followed him step by step into the unknown. Behind them, the forest grew quiet again. The stars shone above, watching in silence. Exile had begun. But punishment was turning into something far more dangerous, for in this strange world they would discover fear, betrayal, and perhaps love. First human encounter. The human led the two alien girls through the dark forest. His steps were steady, as if he knew every hidden path. The moonlight fell on his shoulders, and the night wind carried the sound of his boots pressing the earth. Lyra walked behind him nervously. Her silver hair caught the faint glow of the moon. She kept looking left and right, afraid the beasts would return. Kayla stayed close too, but her golden eyes never left the stranger. She did not trust him, not yet. Finally, they reached the edge of the forest. Beyond the trees lay a small wooden cabin. Smoke rose from the chimney. The light inside was warm, glowing like a beacon in the cold night. The man opened the door. "You can rest here," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes studied them with quiet curiosity. Inside, the cabin was simple: a wooden table, a fire burning in the hearth, and shelves filled with jars of food. It was not much, but compared to the wild forest, it felt like safety. Lyra touched the wooden wall with wonder. Her world had never known such things. Kayla stood stiff, her arms crossed. "Why help us?" she asked again. "Humans are not known for kindness." The man set down his stick and looked at her without fear. "Maybe not all humans are the same," he answered. Then he added, "My name is Daniel." The girls did not share their names, not yet. Their people had taught them never to trust outsiders, but something in Daniel's tone felt honest. Lyra finally spoke softly. "I am Lyra." She glanced at her sister. Kayla stayed silent. After a pause, she muttered, "Kayla." Daniel nodded. "Lyra, Kayla, you must be far from home." The words struck them deep. Home was gone. Their people had cast them out. Earth was no home. It was punishment. Daniel gave them blankets. "Rest. You both look tired," he said. Lyra accepted with gratitude, her hands trembling. Kayla, however, did not sit. Her sharp eyes scanned every corner of the cabin, searching for danger. That night, as the fire crackled, Daniel cooked something in a pot. The smell of food filled the room. "Eat," he offered. Lyra's stomach ached with hunger, but she hesitated. She whispered to Kayla, "What if it is poison?" Kayla sniffed the air. Her instincts told her it was only food, simple and real. Still, she took the first bite, testing it. Her golden eyes widened. "It is safe," she said grudgingly. Lyra finally tasted it. Warmth spread through her body, and for the first time since exile, she felt a small sense of comfort. Daniel smiled faintly. "You must have traveled far," he said. "But don't worry. You're safe here." Safe. The word echoed in their minds. But could Earth ever be safe for them? As the fire burned low, Daniel asked no questions about who they were or where they came from. Instead, he told stories. He spoke about the forest, about the seasons, about the humans who lived nearby. His words painted a picture of life, both simple and strange. Lyra listened with wide eyes, amazed at how different humans were. Yet she also saw something familiar: struggle, hope, survival. Kayla, however, kept her guard. Her mind whispered that kindness was often a mask. Hours passed. The sisters lay down to rest. Daniel sat near the fire, silent but watchful. Lyra whispered to Kayla, "Maybe he is not like the others." Kayla turned to her, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "Or maybe he hides his true face," she replied. "We cannot trust him fully." But deep inside, Kayla could not deny what she had seen. When the beasts came, the human had saved them. When hunger struck, he had fed them. When the night was cold, he had given them warmth. Still, the fear of betrayal was heavy in her chest. Suddenly, a sound outside broke the silence. The howl of a beast echoed through the forest. Daniel rose quickly, grabbing his stick. His eyes narrowed. "They never come this close to the cabin," he muttered. The sisters tensed. Their punishment had followed them even here. Daniel opened the door slightly, peering out into the night. Shadows moved between the trees. Something large was circling. The firelight flickered, casting long shapes on the walls. Lyra clung to Kayla, fear in her silver eyes. "What if it finds us?" she whispered. Kayla's jaw tightened. Her golden eyes shone like fire. "Then we fight," she said. Daniel turned back to them, his face serious. If you stay here, you must learn to survive. The forest will not forgive weakness. His words carried weight, heavier than the council's judgment. For here on Earth, punishment was not just exile. It was survival against a world that did not care. As the night stretched on, the three of them, human and aliens, sat in silence, waiting for the danger to pass. Suspicion, fear, and a strange thread of trust bound them together. For the first time, the sisters wondered, could this human be the key to survival, or would he become the reason they failed? The night gave no answer. Only the sound of the beasts and the crackle of fire, the beginning of something neither human nor alien could yet understand. Strangers in a new world morning came slowly. The forest was covered in a thin mist and the cabin glowed faintly in the first light. Lyra opened her eyes to the sound of birds, so many voices all around. She sat up, her blanket slipping from her shoulders, and for a moment she almost believed she was safe. Kayla was already awake, standing near the window. Her golden eyes followed every movement outside. Her body never relaxed even when the world seemed quiet. Daniel was outside, cutting wood with an axe. His strong arms swung with rhythm, each strike echoing through the trees. Lyra whispered, "He is different, Kayla. He could have left us in the forest, but he did not." Kayla did not answer. Her eyes narrowed as she watched him work. "Different does not mean safe," she said. "Humans have their own ways. We must learn them before we trust him." When Daniel returned, he placed the wood near the fire. His face was calm, as if strangers appearing in his home was nothing unusual. "Eat," he said, handing them bread and fruit. The sisters accepted, though Kayla's hands were stiff. After they ate, Daniel spoke. "You cannot stay hidden here forever. The village is not far. People will notice if you never appear." The word village made Lyra's heart race. She imagined crowds of humans staring at them, whispering, asking questions. What if they saw the truth? What if someone found out who they were? Kayla's voice was sharp. "We cannot go. We are not like them." Daniel looked at her quietly. "If you wish to survive here, you must learn to live like them." His words were simple, but heavy. He was right. They could not remain shadows forever. That afternoon he gave them human clothes, dresses simple but clean. Lyra touched the fabric with wonder. In her world, clothes were symbols of rank and power. Here they were only protection against the cold. Kayla resisted at first, but finally put them on. She knew blending in was their only chance. When they reached the village, the sisters stayed close to Daniel. The streets were small, lined with wooden houses. People moved about carrying baskets. Children ran and laughed. Smoke rose from chimneys. The world was alive in ways the alien girls had never seen. Humans looked at them curiously. Some nodded politely, others whispered behind their hands. Lyra lowered her head, shy and unsure. Kayla, however, met their eyes with fire, daring anyone to come closer. Daniel introduced them as distant relatives. His voice was steady, convincing. The villagers accepted the story, though some still glanced with suspicion. Lyra's heart beat fast as she tried to act normal. She held a basket Daniel gave her and followed the flow of people. The smells of bread, fire, and earth filled her senses. Everything was strange, yet strangely beautiful. But danger lived under the surface. In the corner of the market, a group of men whispered. Their eyes followed the sisters with too much interest. One of them muttered, "They are not from here. Look at their eyes, not natural." Kayla heard. Her golden eyes flashed. She gripped Lyra's hand and pulled her closer. "We must leave," she said sharply. Daniel noticed the tension. He guided them away, his hand firm on Kayla's shoulder. "Do not draw attention," he whispered. Back at the cabin, Kayla paced angrily. "They already suspect we cannot stay here." Lyra shook her head. "But Kayla, we have no other place. Without Daniel, we would have died. Maybe we can learn to live here." Kayla's voice was low and fierce. "Learn to live as humans? Hide our truth forever? Is this survival or is it another prison?" Daniel, who had been silent, finally spoke. "The village can be cruel to outsiders, but not everyone is the same. If you are careful, you will find friends." But if you reveal too much, they will fear you. His eyes were serious. Fear turns humans into hunters. The sisters fell silent. They understood fear too well. Their own people had cast them out because of fear. That night, the cabin felt smaller than ever. Shadows stretched across the walls. Lyra sat by the fire, hugging her knees. "Kayla, maybe punishment is not just about pain," she whispered. "Maybe it is about learning." Kayla looked at her sister, her expression softening for the first time. "Learning what?" "Learning if love exists, even here," Lyra said. Her silver eyes glowed in the firelight. Kayla said nothing, but her heart stirred with a feeling she did not want to name. Outside, the forest was restless. The same men who had whispered in the market stood among the trees, watching the cabin from afar. One of them spat on the ground. "They are not right. We will find out what they really are." The night was quiet, but danger was already moving closer. The sisters did not know it yet, but their secret would not remain hidden for long. Secrets revealed. The night air was heavy. The forest outside the cabin whispered with hidden sounds. Kayla sat near the window, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. She had not slept. Not even for a moment. Lyra lay under her blanket, but her eyes were wide open. She could feel danger pressing close, even inside the wooden walls. Daniel moved quietly. Adding more wood to the fire, his face was calm, but his grip on the poker was tight. He too had heard the noises in the forest. Something was watching them. Days passed, but peace never truly returned. In the village, whispers grew louder. The men who had watched them before now followed them with sharp eyes. A woman pointed at Lyra's silver hair and muttered, "Strange. Too strange." Children laughed and called them witches. Lyra tried to ignore it. She smiled weakly and carried baskets like the other villagers. Kayla, however, could not hide her anger. Her every glance was fire, and every word she spoke was sharp. Daniel warned them, "Do not show what you truly are. Humans fear what they do not understand." But fate does not wait for warnings. One evening, while Daniel was away in the village, the sisters stayed in the cabin alone. A storm raged outside. Lightning flashed across the sky. Thunder shook the ground. Lyra held the blankets close. "Kayla, I do not like this storm," she whispered. Kayla stood tall, her fists clenched. "It is only weather. It cannot harm us." But then the door burst open. The same men from the village stood there, their eyes wild. "We knew it." One of them shouted, "You are not human." They stormed into the cabin, grabbing Lyra by the arm. She screamed. Kayla pushed one of them back with all her strength, but more came. Their hands were rough, their eyes filled with fear and hate. "Show your true face," one of them spat. "We want to see the monsters." Kayla's rage burned too hot. She felt the seal of her punishment tremble. Her alien power, locked away by the council, surged in her veins. With a cry, light exploded from her hands. The men staggered back in terror. Golden fire danced around Kayla's body. Her eyes blazed like suns. Lyra too felt the energy break free. Her silver hair glowed. Her skin shimmered with alien light. The men fell to the floor, scrambling to escape. Witches. Demons. They screamed as they ran into the storm. Lyra collapsed, her body weak from the release. Kayla caught her, holding her close. Her voice shook. "The seal. It is breaking." The door slammed again and Daniel rushed inside, soaked from the rain. His eyes widened as he saw them glowing in the firelight. For a long moment, silence ruled the cabin. Only the thunder spoke. Kayla stepped forward, ready for his fear. "Now you know," she said coldly. "We are not human. We were exiled here. We are not meant to live among you." Daniel looked at them. His eyes did not show fear. Instead, there was something else. Sorrow. "I already knew you were different," he said softly. "But different does not mean dangerous." Lyra trembled. "You saw what we are. You should send us away. You should hate us." Daniel shook his head. "Hate is easy, but it solves nothing. You did not hurt me. You only defended yourselves." His words struck Kayla deep. No one in their own world had ever spoken like that. To be different was always to be punished. Yet this human saw more than fear, he saw choice still. Danger was growing. The men who had fled the cabin would not stay silent. Their fear would turn to anger, their anger would turn to violence. That night, Daniel sat by the fire with them, his voice low. You cannot hide forever. They will come again. Next time with more people, Lyra whispered. What should we do? Daniel looked at them, his face serious. You must decide. Do you run? Or do you stand and show them you are more than their fears? The sisters stared into the fire. The flames danced like their hearts, restless and wild. Lyra's voice shook. I do not want to run anymore. Kayla clenched her fists. If they come, we will fight, but not alone. This time, we have him. Outside the storm faded, but the real storm was only beginning. The village now knew the truth, and the truth never stayed quiet for long. Far above, in the cold stars, the council stirred. Their punishment was no longer working. As planned, the alien girls were not suffering, they were changing, and change was something the council feared most of all. The hunter arrives. The village was restless. Fear spread faster than the storm. The men who had seen Kayla's power told their story to everyone. They are witches, not human. They bring danger to us all, they shouted. Soon, whispers became anger, and anger became a plan. Back in the cabin, Daniel sat with the sisters. His face was hard. They will come again, not just with words. This time, they will come with weapons. Lyra trembled. Her silver hair glowed faintly in the firelight. Why do they hate us so much? She whispered. Kayla's voice was sharp. Because we are different, because fear makes humans blind. But before the village could act, another danger arrived. A danger not from Earth, but from the stars. That night, as the moon rose high, the air trembled. A strange sound filled the forest, a low hum that shook the ground. The sisters froze, recognizing it instantly. It was alien technology. Kayla rushed outside. Her eyes scanned the sky. A ship broke through the clouds, dark and sharp like a predator. Lights cut across the trees as it descended. Lyra gasped. It is them. The council has sent hunters. Daniel followed them outside. His eyes widened at the sight. What? What is that? He asked. The ship landed in the clearing. Its doors opened with a hiss. Out stepped tall figures in black armor. Their eyes glowed behind their helmets. Their weapons crackled with deadly energy. One of them spoke, his voice echoing like thunder. Lyra, Kayla, your punishment has failed. You have grown weak. You have touched the humans. You will return with us or be destroyed. Lyra stepped back, her heart pounding. She remembered the cold halls of the council, the endless judgment. She could not return to that prison. Kayla's fists tightened, fire burning in her golden eyes. We will not go back, she declared. The hunter raised his weapon. Then you will die here. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady. Leave them alone. They have done nothing to you. The hunter turned, amused by the small human standing against him. You protect them? You are nothing, a weak creature of dirt and bone. But Daniel did not move. His stance was firm. His courage burned brighter than his fear. Kayla felt something shift inside her. For the first time, someone was willing to stand beside them, not because of power, but because of choice. The hunters advanced, weapons glowing. Kayla raised her hand, light bursting from her palm. Lyra joined her, silver energy weaving with gold. Together they pushed back the first strike. The forest lit up with fire and lightning. Daniel grabbed his stick, fighting in his own way, striking at one hunter's legs. The blow did little, but his spirit was unshaken. Run if you must, he shouted, but I will not let them take you. The sisters refused to run. Their powers surged, stronger than before. The seal of punishment was breaking fully now. The council had underestimated Earth, the planet's air, its storms, its people. It had awakened something in them. One hunter fell back under the force of their combined energy. Another staggered. His armor cracked. But more advanced, relentless. Lyra cried out, her strength fading. Kayla caught her, standing firm. Her voice roared across the clearing. We are not your prisoners anymore. The hunters hesitated just for a moment. They had expected weakness, but found strength. Daniel stood with them, his chest rising and falling, sweat covering his face. He looked at the sisters. "You are not alone, not anymore." The hunters regrouped, their leader lifting his weapon high. "You cannot escape your fate. The council will not allow it." Kyla's golden eyes blazed. "Then let them come. We will fight them all." The battle raged under the moonlight. Energy clashed against metal, fire against shadow. Lyra's voice rang with fear and hope, Kayla's with fury and defiance, Daniel's with unbreakable resolve. At last, the hunters pulled back, their leader's voice cold and sharp. "This is not the end. We will return, and when we do, there will be no mercy." The ship rose back into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of burning leaves. Lyra collapsed to her knees, tears running down her face. "They will never stop," she whispered. Kayla knelt beside her, her arms wrapping around her sister. "Then we will never stop fighting." Daniel placed a hand on both their shoulders, his voice quiet but strong. "If they come again, they will face all of us together." For the first time, the sisters felt something they had never known before. Not fear, not exile, but belonging. Yet far above, in the halls of the council, the decision was already made. The hunters would return stronger, faster, more ruthless. The punishment was no longer about exile. It was now a war between worlds. Love in the middle of chaos. The forest was quiet again, but it was not peace. Smoke still rose from the broken trees and the earth smelled of fire. Lyra sat on the ground, her body weak, her silver eyes filled with tears. Kayla stood guard beside her, golden light fading from her hands. Daniel watched them both, his chest heavy with worry. He had seen fear in his life, but never like this. Not fear of beasts or storms, but fear of losing something precious. Lyra whispered, "They will come again, Kayla. I know it. The council will never forgive us." Her voice shook like the wind in the trees. Kayla placed a hand on her sister's shoulder. "Let them come. We are stronger now." But inside, even Kayla felt the weight of dread. The hunters were powerful, and more would follow. Daniel crouched beside them, his voice steady but soft. "You don't have to fight alone. This is my home, and if they want to take you, they will have to go through me." Kayla looked at him, her golden eyes sharp. "Why do you risk your life for us? We are not your kind." Daniel did not hesitate. "Because kindness is not about kind, it is about choice." The words struck Kayla like lightning. She had been raised to believe strength ruled, that mercy was weakness. Yet here was a human, fragile in body but unbreakable in spirit. Days passed. The sisters stayed in the cabin trying to heal. Daniel cared for them, bringing food, tending to their wounds. He laughed with Lyra when she struggled to cook. He stood firm when Kayla argued with him about plans. The cabin, once a place of exile, now felt almost like a home. But danger never left. In the village, fear grew darker. The men who had seen their powers whispered of demons. Others prepared weapons. A storm was coming, not from the sky, but from human hearts. One night, while Daniel fixed the roof, Lyra sat by the fire watching him. Her heart stirred with something she had never felt before. In her world, love was forbidden, a weakness that chained the strong. Yet here, as she watched the human risk everything for them, she felt warmth stronger than fear. She whispered to Kayla, "Do you feel it too? This pull, this strange fire inside?" Kayla frowned. "Do not speak of it, Lyra. Love is a trap. It will only break you." But even as she spoke, her eyes betrayed her. She too felt something she could not name, something she feared more than the hunters. The chaos around them only made the feeling stronger. Each day Daniel stood with them, not because he had power, but because he chose to. He carried no armor, no glowing eyes, but his courage was brighter than any weapon. One evening, when the sun bled red across the sky, Daniel sat with them by the fire. "You came here as punishment," he said. But maybe it was not punishment at all. Maybe it was fate. Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes glistening. Fate? To suffer? To be hunted? Daniel shook his head. No, fate to find something worth fighting for. The silence that followed was deep, heavier than thunder. Lyra's heart raced. Kayla's chest tightened. In that moment, the walls they had built around their hearts began to crack. But chaos returned before peace could settle. The ground shook. Lights flashed in the distance. The hunters had returned. Daniel grabbed his stick. Kayla and Lyra stood, their powers ready. But this time, something was different. The sisters did not fight alone. Daniel stood between them, his voice strong. We fight together. The hunters came like shadows, weapons glowing. The battle was fierce. Energy burned the air. Trees fell. Fire spread. Lyra's silver light clashed with their weapons. Kayla's golden fire cut through their armor. And Daniel, though only human, fought with a spirit that refused to break. At one point, a hunter struck Daniel. He fell to the ground, blood on his face. Lyra screamed, rushing to him. Her power burst like a wave, throwing the enemy back. Kayla's fury exploded, her flames brighter than ever before. They fought with hearts on fire, not only to survive, but to protect him. When the hunters finally retreated again, defeated but not destroyed, the sisters fell beside Daniel. His breathing was heavy, but he smiled weakly. You see, I told you. Together. Lyra held his hand, tears falling. Kayla watched, her chest aching with emotions she could not deny anymore. In the middle of chaos, something stronger than fear had been born, something their people had forbidden, something the council would never understand. Love. It was love that gave them strength, love that broke the chains of punishment, love that turned exile into hope. But the war was not over. The hunters would return. The village would rise against them, and the council would never forgive. Yet for the first time the sisters did not tremble at the thought of the future, for in the middle of chaos they had found something worth protecting, even if it cost them everything. A new home, a new future. The battle was over, but the world was still trembling. Smoke rose from the broken trees, and the night air smelled of fire and blood. Lyra sat beside Daniel, her hands glowing faintly as she tried to heal his wounds. Kayla stood guard, her golden eyes fixed on the forest, waiting for the hunters to return. But the forest was quiet, too quiet. The hunters had retreated, yet their promise still lingered. We will return, they had said, and the sisters knew it was true. Daniel opened his eyes slowly. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. Are you both safe? Lyra nodded quickly, tears shining on her silver lashes. Yes, because of you, Daniel. You saved us again. Kayla's chest tightened at the sight of him, so fragile, yet so strong. She whispered, to herself, why does he fight for us when no one else ever has? Days passed and the cabin became their fortress. They repaired the broken walls, gathered food, and prepared for the storm they knew would come. Yet something was different now. The fear that once ruled their hearts was fading, replaced by something brighter. Lyra often sat outside with Daniel watching the sunset. She laughed when he told stories of his childhood, stories of struggle, loss, and small victories. She realized humans carried pain just like them. But they carried hope too. Kayla watched them both from a distance. At first her heart burned with confusion. Love was weakness, her people had said. Yet when she saw Daniel fight for them, when she saw Lyra smile again, she wondered if love was not weakness but strength. One night, as firelight flickered in the cabin, Daniel spoke. You came here as punishment, but punishment does not have to define you. You can choose what this place means. Lyra tilted her head. Choose? You mean, Earth could be more than exile? Daniel nodded. Yes, it can be home if you let it. The word home echoed in the silence. For the first time, it did not sound like a dream. It sounded real, but peace could not last. In the village, anger grew stronger. The men who had seen the sisters' powers gathered weapons. They are dangerous, They will destroy us all, they said. Fear had turned into hate. Hate had turned into war. One morning, smoke rose from the village. The sisters and Daniel saw the crowd marching toward the forest, torches burning, voices shouting, "Burn the witches, protect our land." Lyra clutched Daniel's arm. "They will kill us," she whispered. Kayla's eyes narrowed. "Let them come, I will not bow to their fear." But Daniel shook his head, his voice firm. "If you fight them, you will only prove their fears. True, you must show them who you really are. Not monsters, but people who can love and protect." The sisters hesitated. Their powers burned within them, ready to strike. Yet Daniel's words cut through the chaos. When the villagers reached the cabin, Kayla and Lyra stepped outside. The crowd shouted, raising weapons. Children hid behind their mothers. Men pointed spears and bows. Kayla lifted her hands, golden fire glowing. Lyra's silver light spread across the clearing. The crowd gasped in fear, but then, instead of attacking, Lyra spoke, her voice clear and steady. "We are not your enemies. We did not come here to harm. We were cast out from our world. We were sent here to suffer. But this place has shown us something our people never did. Kindness," the villagers muttered. Unsure, Kayla lowered her hands slowly. Her golden fire faded. She spoke with a voice sharp but honest. "Yes, we have power, but power does not make us monsters, fear does. And if you fight us, then you will only create the danger you fear." Daniel stepped forward, standing between them and the crowd. "They are not demons. They are my friends. They saved me. And I will stand with them. If you wish to strike them, then strike me first." The villagers froze. They saw his courage, his loyalty, and the way the sisters stood not as enemies, but as protectors. Silence fell heavy. The fire of hate flickered, replaced by doubt, then by something else. Understanding. The crowd lowered their weapons, one by one. Torches dropped to the ground. Fear began to fade, replaced by uneasy respect. That night, the village did not burn. Instead, it listened. Daniel told them the truth, and the sisters proved it not with violence but with choice. Weeks passed, and the hunters did not return. The council's eyes watched from the stars, but even they hesitated, for the sisters were no longer prisoners of punishment. They had found something the council could not control: love. In time, the villagers accepted them. Some still feared, but others brought food, shared stories, and asked for help. The sisters, once outcasts, became guardians of the forest, protectors of the people who had once called them witches. One evening, as the sun set in gold and silver light, Daniel stood with them outside the cabin. Lyra's voice was soft. "This is no longer punishment, is it?" Kayla looked at the sky, her heart lighter than it had ever been. "No, this is a gift." Daniel smiled, his eyes warm. A new home, a new future. And so it was, for in exile, they had found belonging. In chaos, they had found love. And on earth, they had found not punishment, but a chance to live free. The stars watched in silence, but for once they did not judge.